Okay, so the cluster identifier is done. Then we have given the database name, and this port is something we should not change. This will remain default. In the master username, I will be using admin, and in master password, I will be using admin12345. Now you have to comply with the this rule of the password here. If you do not follow this rule, then your cluster will not be created. They will not accept the password. So it's very simple. Admin 12345 A capital. That's it. So just we have given the detail of the cluster in the first step. This is the first step. We have just given the detail of the cluster. Now click on continue. Second step, we just need to define the node configuration. Node configuration means the server capacity, or you can say the computing capacity that you want to have for your cluster. This is very important. Look at the node type. You will find there are total 6 node type. The way we used to have the instance type, when we are selecting the instance type, that means we are selecting the CPU, RAM, it means hardware configuration of my server. So here also the hardware configuration of my cluster depends on which type of node we are selecting. If we go ahead with the DC2 large, which is the smallest node type, then we will get 7 CPU. Okay, we will get 7 EC2 compute unit, 2 virtual core per node, and there will be total 15.25 GB of RAM per node. Storage will be 160 GB SSD storage per node. Okay, you cannot provision the storage, you cannot increase or decrease the storage. This will come along with this by default. Okay, now let's say that you want to increase some of the computing capacity or the storage capacity. What to do? Let's go ahead with the node type, the highest one. So in the highest one node type, we see that 119 CPUs will come. The server, one server, it's one server, okay? One single server is having 119 CPU, and total memory will be 244. That is the RAM which your server will have. So you can just imagine the power of one single server. How much compute optimized your server could be. Just one server, okay? Storage 16 TB, that is the maximum storage you can get on the cloud with EBS. So you can just imagine that there must be one EBS with very high and strong performance which will be attached to this server. Okay. Now if you want to increase the computing capacity or the storage capacity beyond this, then here you can select the cluster type multi-node and you can just give, let's say, 5. So 5 number of compute nodes you want. 5 number of compute nodes means total memory will be 244 into 5. Total storage will be 16 TB into 5, total 80 TB. So here you can define up to 128 number of nodes that your cluster can have, and just you can calculate the total maximum storage capacity and the compute capacity you can get from this for one cluster. Okay, but for our this demo we will be going ahead with the smallest node type and single node cluster. Okay, continue. Now this is additional configuration, third step, where we define how do we want to manage the cluster, how do we want to allow the access to the cluster, what will be the networking configuration, security part, backup part, all these things we define in the third step. So you must be familiar with all these options if you have went through that RDS session. In RDS also we define these parameters: VPC, we need to choose the VPC, then default subnet group, publicly accessible, yes. Choose a public IP address. So instead of having the host name or the endpoint for your cluster, you can also use a IP address, so that will be easy to remember, and that you can use for connecting to your cluster quite often. Enhanced VPC routing is something that is being used for increasing the network performance of your cluster, and this is chargeable. Then availability zone, so you can also define one particular availability zone for the cluster, so that the cluster will be physically present in that availability zone. Okay. There is no multi-zone concept here, that your cluster will be expanded. Your cluster will be expanded across different availability zones. So that option is not there, but it was there in the RDS, right? Multi-AZ deployment was an option, right? Okay. In VPC security group, we will go ahead with the default VPC security group. Now you can see here that there is no option of creating any default security group. If your security group is existing, it will be populated here, or else default security group of the VPC will be populated here. But additionally, you can go ahead and create or get your security group for the Redshift ready before launching the cluster, and you can select from here. Later on, also, if you are not satisfied or if you are not feeling comfortable with using the default security group, you can create a new security group for your Redshift and then change the security group. Security group is something that we can change anytime, right? In instances also we used to do that. Okay. Now we have an option of creating the CloudWatch alarm. So you want to monitor, if you want to monitor, obviously that will be monitored by default by CloudWatch. But if you want to get additional notification on certain events, like your disk utilization is about to 80%, about to reach 80%, or your average CPU utilization is about to reach this much percent, then you get the notification. So you can create the alarm from here as well, or else later on also after creating the cluster, you can create the alarm. Or you can go to the CloudWatch and create the alarm once this cluster is up and running. So there are multiple places or multiple ways by which you can create the alarm. Okay. Then we have the roles. So this cluster, your Redshift cluster wants to access some other resources of other services. So let's say that there is a file in S3 bucket, and Redshift cluster wants to read the file and load the data which is there in the file directly into its table. So if you want to allow your cluster to access your S3 resources, S3 buckets, then you will have to create a role and attach to the server from here. If you do not attach the role now, later on also you can create the role and attach anytime. It takes 2 to 3 minutes to be effective. Okay. Let's click on continue, and you will get a notification. It is a kind of warning which will say that if you are not eligible for the free tier, you will start getting $0.32 per hour as the charge for this rate. Click on launch cluster. Do not worry about the charges because you already qualifies for the free tier limit. Now, this cluster is in the creation state. By the time this is getting created, what you need to do is go to Google and search for SQL Workbench. So this is an external driver. This is not MySQL Workbench. Please, take care of this, that you are not going to MySQL Workbench. This is for only MySQL database. But Redshift is not in MySQL. Redshift do not use MySQL engine. Redshift use Postgre engine. Okay, and that too a customized version of Postgre. So just by using some Postgre driver, you will not be able to connect to Redshift. There is a separate driver for JDBC driver for Redshift. So we need to go to this SQL Workbench website and okay, this is not the correct URL. So this is the correct URL. Okay. When you go to your SQL Workbench site, you can see like current stable version build 123. Click on this, and then it will ask you to download the packages for generic package for all system, then download package for Mac OS and the source code. So it is recommended that you go for the generic package for all system if you are using Windows, or else go for the Mac version. Once you download this, you will be downloading a zip file. That zip file will have some files. Okay, you do not need to install this. This does not require any installation. Just extract all the contents of the zip file and save it on your some folder like Google. You can save it on My Document also. You can save it on desktop also. Okay. Now, after installing this, you need to look at the Java version installed on your laptop. The Java should be latest one, Java 8, updated one. If you do not have the latest version of Java installed on your system, this application will not run. Okay. Now, once you have your this Java updated and you have downloaded all the application these files, you just need to go to the download folders where you have extracted that, and then you will find some icon like this SQL Workbench. Okay, this is the .exe file. You just need to open this. When you open, you will get this kind of URL. So this is the window that will come up, and it will ask you for the connection profile. So by default, you will not have any connection profile. First thing is that you need to create a connection profile to connect to your cluster. Now it is not very easy or simple or straight away you can connect. First thing is that you need to set up the driver for Redshift. Okay, how to set up the driver for Redshift? You need to go back to your this Redshift console, and let's check. It is okay. So this is still in creation phase. So then go to this client, connect client. Okay. Anyways, you will be getting the recording of this, so don't worry. Connect client. Then in the connect client, you will see download AWS Redshift drivers. So you need to select the JDBC driver. Okay. Select from drop down 4.2 and then download. The 4.2 jar file will be downloaded on your system. That will be downloaded in your download folder. Okay, that is what is required for now. Now, how to set up the driver? Once you are back to this profile setting window, you just need to click on Manage Drivers. When you click on Manage Drivers, already there will be a Redshift driver here. Okay, which you can delete or you can create one more Redshift driver. So okay, so see in the second from the top list, Amazon Redshift is the one. So you will also be seeing this. Once you download the package, you will also see this driver by default, but you will not see any library here. So you just need to click on this folder and search for the jar file that you will be downloading. Okay, so you can see here this is the jar file. Now I will simply select this. Now it is populated here. Okay, and go ahead with this class name and sample URL by default. Click on OK. Fine. Once you managed your driver, once you configure your AWS Redshift driver from here, then you just need to search the same from this drop down list, and once you select this, you should be able to see the driver detail and just give a name to the connection. So this is the connection name, not the driver name. Here you just need to select the proper driver which you configured, then the URL, JDBC URL, admin, username and the password. And you need to also select the auto commit button so that after executing one SQL, you don't need to run the commit statement every time. So this JDBC URL is the connection string which you will require to connect, and that you can get from this third option. Just select the cluster, and since the cluster is not yet created, it is still in creation phase. Once it is created, you will be able to get this JDBC URL. So just copy the JDBC URL, paste it there, and then you will be able to connect to your cluster. Okay. So this is how we connect to the cluster. After this, once you are successfully connected to the cluster, you need to do some hands-on. So what to do? In the Google, search for AWS Redshift getting started, and this is the okay. So this is the second URL. AWS is started getting started with Amazon Redshift. The documentation page. You just need to click and open this. And the sixth step, you don't need to follow all these steps, just the sixth step, load sample data. Okay, so this is the page which you need to practice, but I will explain you how. First thing is, once you are connected to your Redshift cluster, okay, so now it is available, so I must be getting the JDBC driver. This is my JDBC driver. Okay, let me copy this, and I can use this here. I'm testing the connection, whether I am able to connect to my cluster or not. It is taking a longer time than expected, so let's verify the setup that we have done. Okay. The very first thing that you will verify is the whether this endpoint is having authorized authority or not to be accessed. So it is saying authorized. Sometimes when your security group setting is not correct, you will get unauthorized. Okay. Now, even if this is authorized, I will revisit my security group just to see that whether I am allowed to connect from outside or not. So when I go to inbound edit, I can see here that this is the security group which is in the source. This means that only those servers will be able to connect to my cluster which is using this security group. So I am not using this security group. I am connecting from outside AWS. So unless I make this anywhere, I will not be able to use. But since this is the default security group, I don't want to make the change in this. I will simply add one more rule where I will say Redshift, and here I will use anywhere and just save. So instead of editing the existing rule, I just added one more rule. So now I should be able to connect. Let's verify. So test again, and now it says that this connection is successful. So I just tested the connection, and now it says that successful. I will click on OK, and this will take me to. Now I'm successfully connected to my cluster. Okay, and the database that I created was MyDB, right? So now, once you are into this, you just need to create these tables. So let's create the first table. So you see table user created. Similarly, I will copy all the tables. So I will create these tables. So I see that all the tables are getting created. You can see the, how fast this is getting created. Okay. Once the table creation is done, now obviously we will be curious to load some data into this. So how to load the data? You are going to learn. Now you are going to learn that just by having the data in a formatted file on S3, how can we simply run a copy command to load the data from S3 file to your Redshift cluster table? Okay, just by running the copy command. And this copy command, to execute this copy command, the cluster will be communicating to my S3 bucket. So cluster should have the rule to access my S3 bucket, right? So for that, I will be needing the IAM role. So let's create one IAM role. In EC2 console, I will go to IAM and I will be creating one IAM role. This IAM role will be used by which service? This will be used by Redshift. So here in the AWS service types, I will be selecting Redshift. And then if you go with the Redshift, this allow cluster to call AWS services on your behalf, then this will not allow you to attach your custom policy. But we want the custom policy, like we want to attach the S3 policy. So we'll go ahead with the second option. Click on next permission, and here I will search for S3 full access. Full access we want when we want to read the data as well as we want to write the output of a query in a file. So if we want to do both, we will need the full access. So we'll click on this option and then go ahead and review. Give a name to this read to S3 and then create the role. Now once we created the role, coming back to Redshift, when I'm coming to the cluster, I can select this cluster and click on manage IAM roles, and from here I can simply select the role and apply the changes. Okay, so the role has been attached. You can see this is in the modifying status. Unless it is modified and available for the use, still the cluster role will not be applicable. By the time it is coming up or getting modified, now what we need to do is, if you come down on this page after creating the table, you will find that there is a copy command which is used for loading the table, loading the data from S3 file to your table. So I will copy and paste all these. Fine. Now, before asking you to run this command, I will explain you what is the syntax and what is the meaning of this command. Copy means it will copy the data to users table. Okay, from this will be the file. So this is the file location. Copy the data from this file to this user table, where the credential is I am passing one IAM role which I created. So I will be passing the ARN here. After equal to, I will be passing the ARN. Not just within this one. I will be passing the URL where after equal to in the ARN value. and then it is saying that delimiter is pipe. So multiple columns and values of different columns are separated by pipe in the source file, which my server can identify as the value of the next column. Okay. Then the region. This region is the region of the bucket in which my bucket is there. So when I will be sharing the assignment to you guys, you just need be careful about specifying the region of your bucket. It is not necessary that the bucket should be in the same region. Bucket can be in the same another region. Your cluster can be in some other region. Okay. So what I need now, I need the I need the ARN of my role. So if you know the name of the role, you can easily create the ARN, or you can go navigate back to your IAM, and in IAM roles, here if you search for red, this is the ARN. We have already discussed the type of that format of the ARN. Now when we copy this, coming back here, I just need to replace the value of this. Okay, and now once I run this, let's see what happens. This is running, and this will load almost close to 49,000 records in user table. Since the record is quite huge, 49,000, so it might take some time. By the time it is taking some time, let's copy this ARN and place it in other queries also. How will you come to know that this query is now executed? This button will turn into blue. Okay, and you will also get one output notification here. So like the way we have here table user created, you will be getting some notifications like these many rows has been inserted. Okay, now you can see here that 49,990 records successfully loaded, and now it is turned into blue. So if you want to see the data, you can search here, select star from user. The table name is users. So see how quickly it has fetched 49,000 records. And if you see the execution time, it is less than 6 seconds. And here you can see your data. So there is no need of any ETL tool to read the data, extract the data, and load into your table. Likewise, you can load all the tables, and once you load all the tables, then you can also practice few queries here, which is given. These are the few queries which you can practice for the Redshift. Okay. The beauty of Redshift is that data warehouse is something we do not need 24 into 7. Data warehouse is mainly used for reporting or computing purpose when we want to do the analysis. So if that is the requirement, then why should I have my database running 24 into 7? If I just want to create some periodic report, weekly report, monthly report, or if I want to do the analysis by end of the month, but I have a huge data so that I want to keep it ready for the users. So you can directly go to your Redshift cluster and select the cluster, and you can take the backup of the cluster. So when you take the backup of the cluster, it will be creating one snapshot. Snapshot will be saved in your S3, which you will not be able to see, which is not being managed by you. But you can anytime select this this snapshot and restore it to cluster. It will be available in 2 or 3 minutes maximum. So when you want to do the analysis, restore your snapshot, and when you are done, you can just create a snapshot to create the cluster. Need not to reserve or need not to run dedicatedly large fleet of server unnecessary. That saves a lot of dollars. Got it? So now as a part of assignment, what you need to do, you will be creating your own table. So if anybody who is not from database background, you can simply uh, get the queries from here. So you can find here that the table creation statement is not that much difficult. What you need to do is just you customize this. Instead of table, you can use some name and give details like employee ID, employee name, okay, first name, last name, phone number, city, salary, something like this, and then create one CSV file on your system. Create one CSV file, feed some data in 15 records, feed some data into that, upload that CSV file on your S3 bucket, fine, and then you can create the table the way we have used the create statement, and you can use this command to load your data from your S3 file to your bucket, sorry, to your table. So that will be the part of assignment for you to practice. Okay? Any question?
How we can increase the nodes?
You want to increase the nodes. So if you want to increase the nodes in the cluster, go ahead and modify. So in this modification, you will be changing few parameters and setting. Okay. But in the cluster, when you go to resize, then you can change the node type and you can also change the number of nodes. So you can do the vertical as well as horizontal scaling of your cluster anytime. It's only when you save this, it will go for a restart or reboot. Means you will face some downtime. Okay. But anyways, on data warehouse, we do not have any website or 24/7 dependency of any application. So we can have 2 3 minutes of downtime. That's not a big deal.
And so in real scenario, how it is used?
In real scenario, how it is used. So in real scenario, wherever you see the dashboards, in the backend there is a data warehouse. In real scenario, whenever you are getting your monthly bank statement, so daily when you are doing the transaction, at the end of the day, at midnight, there is a batch process which runs and which will transfer all the transactional data which you made the transaction throughout the day to your data warehouse. Okay. By end of the month, whatever you did in your bank, every transaction has been recorded, and then you get your report monthly statement from the data warehouse, not from the transactional data. So there are different layers of data. I work in that field only, so I have clear picture when our data goes to there. So since I'm working with a a banking client, so I'm dealing with all this. Any more question, guys? This is very interesting. This is very interesting service, and I can guarantee you that this service is going to pay heavily in AWS. But anybody who is having 4 5 years of experience, not into this background, then not preferred. But those who are having 2 3 years of experience, who wants to switch or who is willing to change the path, I would suggest you go for Redshift. There is a huge demand market coming up, and this is going to be the future of data. When we say cloud means now we are very much reluctant, putting our data on cloud because we can access from anywhere. And likewise, we have seen the feature of Redshift. We can customize or we can scale up, scale down our database anytime. In physical scenario, in practical scenario, when I was working in Capgemini, there was a project data warehouse migration. So, okay, so let me